Morning everyone. Today I'm giving us a mat work routine that's hopefully going to target head to toe. So let's get started. I'm going to get you to just bring the left sole of your foot to the inside of your right thigh. So you've sort of got both knees bent, trying to maintain an equal weight bearing with both of your sit bones on the mat. You're going to take your left hand down to the mat as you bring your right arm up and over, bending that left elbow, creating length through your side body on the right, and then coming back up. We're just going to try and get everything nice and warm this morning before we get into things. So just lengthening, keeping the collarbones nice and open, ensuring that we're not crowding the neck. So bringing the ear too close to the shoulder on that left side as we lower down. We want to make sure that we keep everything nice and open. Really lengthening the intercostal space on the right. So really stretching through the rib cage as you lower down. Getting that tricep going on that left side as well, keeping equal pressure through all of your fingertips. One more for me. And we are working into the hips here. We're going to swap sides. You're going to bring your right foot forward onto the inside of your left thigh. Bring your your ankle in line with your left knee. We're taking our right palm down to the mat as you lengthen, bending that right elbow, reaching the left fingertips over, arching like a rainbow, and then coming back up. Now this might be really uncomfortable on your hips. So if you want to just bring yourself up onto a block, so just patching your bottom onto a block, a pillow, a rolled up towel, whatever works for you. That's it. Really creating space between your rib cage and your pelvis on that left side as we reach up and over. The shoulders remain stacked here. There's no arching back or leaning too far forward in front of you. Perfect. Let's go for two more here. And our last one. Beautiful. Now while we're on this side, we're actually going to come into side lying. So just bending both knees, extending your bottom arm out long, supporting the ear with the bicep. We've got our knees together and our feet stacked. Now from here, we're going to actually extend your left leg out long, okay? Slightly bringing it behind you so the heel is actually behind the buttocks and the pelvis remains stacked, and if not slightly tilting downwards towards the mat. The rib cage is heavy here. We're actually going to come into a little bit of a pulse, so not dipping below midline with that heel, just lift and lower. Keeping the toes pointed so the foot is nice and active. Making sure that the pelvis is in that imaginary vice, so there's no movement here, side to side or forward and backwards. And we're just lifting and lowering. Making sure that you might just cast the eyes down and ensure that the heel is still behind the hip, because it may start to work its way forward. That's it, just starting to wake up through our back pocket. Still keeping rib cage heavy and creating a little bit of space between our waist and the mat on that right side. Let's just go for 3, for 2, and 1. Keeping the foot here, we're going to draw tiny little circles. We're coming forward with the foot with these ones before we reverse the direction of the circle. Again, as soon as we start to bring in that rotary component in the lower limb, we're ensuring that the pelvis is still staying nice and still as our anchor point. Keeping nice and open through the chest and long through the neck. Three, 2, and 1. And let's reverse that circle. So now the heel is moving backwards away from our person. Still keeping that right knee anchored and the foot is active. Now you should really start to feel that waking up through the back of the hip socket. Oop, forgot which direction I was going in. Little tiny circles. The knee is really nice and straight here, so the quadricep is engaged. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bend that knee, still keeping them separated. You're going to extend that foot and coming back to that start position. So the knees are in line with each other, and you're going to kick that left foot forward and back. If you need to come down and have a little rest in between this transition, drop the knees together, give that hip a little rub. Otherwise, we're keeping ribs heavy, active through our core as we lengthen through the left foot by extending the knee. Let's just go for 4 more here, for 4, for 3, for 2, and our last one. Beautiful. Lower the knees together. Give that buttocks a little rub, 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 rub. You're then just going to drop your left leg forward, so the knee is still in line with the hip, and actually extend your right leg. Keeping the hips stacked, pelvis drawing in on those abdominals. And you're going to lift and lower now that bottom leg. So we're working into the adductors now of our right thigh. And when I said pelvis drawing in there, find whatever connection works for you. If it's belly button to spine, go with that. I usually like to imagine that there's a spring between my ribs and pelvis, and I'm trying to decrease the stretch on that spring. So you're just lifting that leg off, keeping a straight knee. We're getting a bit of length now through those glutes that we worked on our left leg. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Beautiful. Let's go for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. Bring the knees back together. You're going to push yourself up as we swap sides. So we're extending out our left arm, resting the bicep, so the ear onto the bicep, making sure that our knees are nice and stacked together and the heels are in line with the buttocks. Lifting our waist away from the mat if we can. We're going to extend our right leg long, keeping the pelvis stacked, as I said, if not slightly rolling forward. We're just coming into our lift and lower. So as I said, the heel should be slightly behind the buttocks, not directly in line. So I've just got you in a little bit of hip extension here. Making sure the body isn't moving like a seesaw. Our upper limb all the way to our hip joint is as stable as possible. So the rib cage is hugging in like a corset. The neck is staying nice and long. Trying to keep that left knee as heavy as we can. Excellent. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Perfect. Small movement, nice and active through the foot. We're going to get ready to come into our circles shortly. So keeping this exact position where we are, start to circle that right foot forward. So you still want to keep the foot in line with the hip joint. We're just now bringing in that forward rotation through the hip socket. Might feel different for you side to side. You might have already forgotten how it was feeling on your left side. For 4, 3, 2, and 1, and we'll reverse that circle now. Trying to keep that nice stability through our pelvis. I'm getting the shakes through my foot. Might have been because I ran beforehand. My poor little toes. I'm just going to relax my active point through my foot. But please keep going with that if you can. 5, 4, 3, for 2, and 1. Beautiful. Bending the knees, stacking it above the bottom. We're coming into our side kick. So again, rib cage nice and heavy, active through our abdominals as you extend that right foot out long. So the heels go from being stacked above each other to that right heel extending forward. The knees remain in line with each other and stacked. 4, 3, 2, last one, and 1. Beautiful. We're going to now pop that right foot on the ground as the knee stacks in line with the hips as we extend our bottom leg. Pelvis remains stacked. We're going to lift and lower now our left leg. So the inside of the foot is going straight up towards the ceiling. Keeping active through the toes, creating space through our chest, still keeping that neck nice and long. Lengthening through the toes as if you're trying to increase the space between that hip joint first, before then lifting it up towards the roof. Really lengthening and then lifting. Beautiful. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Nice little glute warm up for us. We're going to go straight onto our backs from here. Creating space between our shoulders, lengthening through the collarbones. You're going to just find that neutral pelvic position, so tilting forwards and backwards with our pelvis, until you find that middle ground where you could still fit a blueberry between your lower back and the mat. Neck really nice and long here. We're going to inhale to prepare. Exhale to bring both feet up into tabletop. From here, we're going to bring the heels together, opening the knees wide. So we look like a little bit of a frog here. Connecting our belly button towards our spine, hands stay flat on the mat next to us. Keeping the heels connected, we're going to extend and return back. So it's almost like we're doing a bit of a plie on our back. Anyone with a little dance history will know that far too well. So we're keeping the hips in an externally rotated position here. The rib cage stays heavy, connected to that imaginary spring between pelvis and rib cage. As you extend, making sure the legs aren't getting too far away from you, that you then lose your pelvic control. So it may be easier to bring the hands to the pelvis here to keep that stability. The foot is flexed, not pointed here. Let's go for 3, for 2, zipping those inner thighs together as you extend, and 1. Pointing the toes, going to cross the legs over each other. So we're on a 45-degree angle here. Toes pointed, coming into a little crisscross, just to finish us off. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Dropping those legs down, lengthening the feet out. Keep the hands on the pelvis. You're going to lengthen your left heel long, and then your right heel. So you're just walking your hips here. Lengthening through the hip flexor, really pointing through the foot, engaging the buttocks. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Bend the knees for me. You're going to interlace the fingertips behind the back of that left leg, drawing comfortably towards your tummy. You don't need to reef it there if that's not comfortable on the front of your hip, just holding towards you. Keeping the right heel in line with the hip, active through the knuckle of the big toe, pinky toe and heel on that right side. Shoulders nice and open. You're going to lift the hips high and then lower back down. Lifting high, lower back down. So we're just coming into a little bit of a one-legged shoulder bridge, but bringing the pelvis into a little bit more of a posterior pelvic tilt. So we should feel that lighting up through our right glute and into our hamstring. Excuse me, my nose is very sniffly with the cold this morning. Still trying to keep that pelvic stability as if you're balancing a marble between your 2 hip bones. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold that one up. Bring the hands down by the side. Restack that left knee into that tabletop position. You're going to extend that leg, lower it down to the floor, lifting back to 90. So we're just coming to a static hold on that right side. Still active through knuckle of big toe, heel and pinky toe on that right side. Pelvis staying still. For 3, for 2, and 1. Beautiful. Lowering down, interlacing fingertips behind the back of the right leg, lifting up and lowering down. Same principle here, so pressing through those 3 points on that left foot. Collarbones stay nice and open towards the ceiling and the neck stays long. We're lifting and lowering, bringing some heat into the back of that left glute and hamstring as the right knee is slightly drawing towards the tummy. There's no compressing through that right hip. It's just a slight drawing in towards the tummy and chest. Beautiful. You might notice a little asymmetry between each side. Just take note of what feels different for you. 2 and 1. Holding here. Restacking that right leg into tabletop. We lengthen and we lift and lower. Really strong through that right leg. The kneecap is engaged. Quadriceps strong. Pelvis stacked. Staying with me here for 3, for 2, and 1. Beautiful. Lower down. Hug the knees in towards the chest. We're just going to draw some circles. Still keeping the shoulders down. Gently moving in a clockwise and anti-clockwise direction. Perfect. From here, we're going to stack the legs into tabletop. Knees above hips, ankles in line with knees. Bring the hands directly above the shoulders. From here, we're going to lengthen right leg, left arm. So most of you will be familiar with this as our dead bug. Keeping the neck nice and long and lengthening through the toes as you extend on that 45. As you can see, I'm keeping it quite small, the range of motion that I'm working in. I still want space for that imaginary blueberry sitting between my lower back and the mat. We're going to come into a little bit of a hold here as we now bring both hands back, extend both legs in and out of that tabletop position. Still keeping chest open. A double leg extension here from tabletop. For 3, for 2, 1. Hold them there. Bring the hands by the side, lengthen the fingertips and lift them up. Hold. Head and shoulder blades off the mat for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Hug the knees into the chest. We are all done here, guys. Well done. That was a tough one today. Finish up in a little child's pose if you want to, or come back into those mermaids. I'll see you again next time.